Obrigado and welcome to Brazil. Welcome to Sao Paulo, the final round of the GP4 OC 2019 season, the Brazilian Grand Prix at Interlagos. The 14th time we've been in here, and Interlagos, the 9th of 9 tracks that have been on the OC calendar every season since it started. The circuit, of course, named after Carlos Pache. Constructors' Championship, of course, will be decided today. The Drivers' Championship, however, has already been decided, of course, with Franco Lopez winning it last time out in Abu Dhabi, not by winning the race, but by coming runner-up to Armar Car. So he is already the champion, so some could say disappointingly we're not going to see a title battle here at Interlagos today, but nonetheless we still have a race and we still have the rest of the championship table to sort out, including the battle for second place between Joseph Willows and Miklos Gau. And Willows would definitely like to come runner-up in his last season for Ferrari before he goes to McLaren. Previous 4 winners here have included Florian Volker, Mackenzie, Willows and Armar Car, who won here last season. And Car has been on a good run of form at the end of this season, which of course has been enough to keep him in the Mercedes seat for next season. The tyres we'll be using will be the soft tyres for the race, and of course we'll take a look at the free practice results, which are as it stands. And Raul Patel, the Indian who was top of the standings by 15 thousandths, that is definitely the proudest moment of his career, so he'll be very happy with that one. But we're now going to take a look at the starting grid for the Brazilian Grand Prix, and it is Laura Chung taking pole position with a 107.338. Franco Gamba alongside her, second position. On row 2 we have the 2 Brits, Armar Car and Joseph Willows for Mercedes and Ferrari respectively, of course. On row 3 we have Jay Mackenzie for Renault and Miklos Gau, who had originally taken pole position but had a 5-place grid penalty from last time out in Abu Dhabi. Franco Lopez, 7th position for Mercedes, with Paulino Tomaselli alongside him, 8th. Row 5 of the grid we have Roland Moitian for Racing Point Mercedes and Gabriel Gomez for Alfa Romeo Racing Ferrari. Row 6 we have De Rosa for McLaren, Kirosa for De Rosa and Andrea Federi 12th for Alfa Romeo. On the 7th row we have George Rope for Racing Point and Chris Chatfield for Haas. So that is that row. Row 8, David Kupok and Evan Byrne for Toro Rosso and Renault. Kupok, who is one of the drivers who we'll find out soon, will still get a seat for next season or not. Maxime Titkov 17th and Matteo Catalan, who won't be getting a seat for next season, in 18th. On row 10 of the grid we have Jared Fosbury for Haas and Dean Campana for Williams. And on the 11th row, 21st and 22nd positions, we have Felix Sontag and Rosetta Martinez. So that is the grid for the Brazilian Grand Prix, and the team news for this week, of course, is that Gabriel Gomez and Andrea Federi will remain at Alfa Romeo. David Kupok will also remain at Toro Rosso when they become AlphaTauri. Roberto Gamba will return to the top class with Ferrari, meaning that Matteo Catalan, Maxime Titkov, Dean Campana, Jared Fosbury and crucially Jay Mackenzie have been left without a drive in the top tier for next season. And so it will feel weird without Jay Mackenzie on the grid, as he's been on, well, it's been here pretty much since the start, really. But crucially, of course, this will be a wet-dry race, which is always fascinating. We've had it in Brazil before. It'll be a wet race at the start, however, it will dry up towards the end. So as you can see, the track is very wet at this moment in time. All the drivers are going to be on the extreme wet tyres. So as the 5 lights are about to go on here in Brazil, the final race of the season is about to get underway. The 5 lights are now coming on. They have come on, and we are now underway for the final race of the season. Who's going to jump towards the first, where it looks incredibly slow in these wet conditions? But would it be Gamba or will it be Chung? And Chung appears to have got a good launch off the line, although Gamba, I think, is already alongside and might already be past her before the first corner. But Chung might hold it around the outside, and Chung does and will keep the lead. As Gamba gets a great run off the corner, but Laura Chung does keep the lead as they come through. And the question is, will there be any collisions? It's going to be very wet and slippery, and will Gamba try and make a move for the first position? And meanwhile, behind Joseph Willows trying to make his way up into third position, trying to get past the Mercedes of Armar Car. And he's on the inside as Willows. Can he make it stick? And the answer is, I think he can. Yes, and Willows already up into third position. So that's good for him in the battle for second of the championship. Gao stayed in his starting position of 6th. Tomaselli has actually passed Mackenzie. Looking through the rest of the order, there's Mackenzie, Gomez, De Rosa, Moitian, Roque, and they're coming through. It looks like they've all kept very clean so far, but still waiting to the end of the first lap. Meanwhile, Chung under pressure from Franco Gamba, almost pushing her around the corner is Gamba, and they're coming through the tight infield section of the circuit. And so now Gamba trying to force his way through the inside there, not going to work, but he's going to follow Chung through the last bit of the lap and then try and make a move onto the front straight, although he's got a bad exit actually, and that's allowed Willows too close up behind, so Gamma might need to defend, or have defend from Willows and then think about maybe if he'll attack Chung or not. But I think actually Gamma's got a great run off the corner and already behind Laura Chung. He's heading towards the front straight, and Gamma going to try and make a move on the inside here. And luckily there wasn't a collision. We saw a collision between Griffiths and Kirby in GP2, but he's on the inside. He's Gamma, and he's going to take the lead as Franco Lopez actually sets the fastest lap on the first lap. Gamma's going to try and make the move. Has he got it? He's around the outside. He's going to have the run, and he's through up past Laura Chung into the number 1 spot. Now Chung going to be under pressure from Joseph Willows behind. He's going to make a move on the inside, and he already is doing so. Meanwhile, behind, Tomaselli trying to make a move on Gal, and Lopez defending hard from Gal as well. And it's getting very close between the two Ferraris. Oh, there's contact! There's contact between the two. Willows is through, and Chung has been hung out to dry badly there. And quite ironic because it's a wet race at the moment. But Laura Chung really got the short end of the stick there. And I don't know if Willows... I think Willows made a slight mistake there. I don't know if he got tagged and then unfortunately just went into the side of Laura Chung. And no, I think Willows originally just made a mistake and almost just needed to turn into Chung. Though they collided and Willows lifted up off the ground and was very lucky not to get any damage from that. But for Laura Chung, unfortunately, she has lost a ton of positions there. And I mean, the Mercedes of Carl was there, but I don't think there was any contact. I think it was just the Mercedes trying to stick his nose up the inside there. No, sorry, that was Lopez, I should say, that was through. But now, as we're coming on to the front straight, we're looking on board with the Red Bull of Miklas Gau, who's trying to get past Lopez in front of him. Is he going to be close enough to make a move into the first corner? In the slipstream just about, but not able to make the move stick. Of course, moment as Carr is actually passing Laura Chung for 6th position. So Laura Chung down to 7th from what was pole position. 6th, sorry, I should say. So it's been a nightmare start for Laura Chung from this race. But looking through looking at the movements, Q-Box moved up quite a few positions. He's up to 11th, of course, now being confirmed at AlphaTauri for next season. Meanwhile, Tomaselli trying to pass Chung for 6th. Tomaselli on the inside making a very late move there, and I think he might be through. And he is, so Tomaselli moves up to 6th position, Chung down to 7th, down 6 positions, down from pole position to 7th in just 3 laps, and she's definitely been quite unlucky in this respect. So we're looking at Lopez, who's now under pressure from Gal behind. We'll see if he can get after De Rossi. Roland Moichin under pressure from Andrea Federi, and then George Rope behind in 14th as the cars are coming through. And so let's see if they come through safely. There almost is a train following through the mid pack at the moment. All these cars one behind each other, and so far we've also had a clean start as well. There's been no retirements, well, I say no retirements, but no collisions. And meanwhile, Tomaselli, well, I think we knew had already passed Chung over 6th place there. Meanwhile, Lopez is on the back of Willows. This is for 2nd position, and Gamma has streaked away ahead. Look at the gap he's got actually coming down the front straight, but Lopez is surely going to make mincemeat of Willows as they come across the line as Gamma sets a new fastest lap. Lopez on the inside, going to try and take P2 away from Willows. And Willows going to try and hold it, but Lopez will get the run around the outside. And yep, Lopez takes 2nd position away. Now Willows is under pressure from Miklas Gau behind, who of course, this is crucial for Willows of course. But even if Gau gets in front, then there's no way that he'll finish ahead. You need to hope that Willows doesn't finish in the points at all. So at the moment it is all in Willows' hand to keep 2nd place in the championship as De Rossa makes a move up the inside of Mackenzie. That is for P8, and he's through past the Polish driver. One Polish driver passing the other, with one of them of course not being on the grid next season, that being Mackenzie of course. Roland Moichin getting a little bit out of shape there, getting a little bit of a slide there through the corner, just about managing to hold it on the circuit, but he still once again got Federi all over the back of him. Meanwhile, Roke's actually dropped a few percent. He dropped down to 16th, so I don't know what's happened to him, but he's not had a good start from this race. But as we look at Moichin coming through, and Moichin hasn't got a lot of fuel either, so it's not down to the fuel. I think he's just generally struggling for grip as Gal is right behind Willows, and so is Carr, and possibly so is the McLaren of Tomaselli soon, if they keep holding each other up as much as they are. Battles going on throughout the field here at a very wet Interlagos circuit. Of course, that will change later on in the race when it gets drier, and we'll see dry lines. We're looking at Gabriel Gomez coming onto the front straight here. So we're looking at Federi now trying to go past Moichin finally for a further position up the field. So Federi, I think he's on the inside now, and the answer is yes. This is for 12th, and Federi is finally past Roland Moyton moves up another position. Meanwhile, Matteo Catalan passes Titkoff for 14th place. And so now he'll go after Moyton. Meanwhile, Roke trying to get himself past Titkoff. So he dropped a few places, Roke. I don't know what happened to it really, but as we're looking now at Titkoff coming down the front straight, and Titkoff, oh, he's got a problem, and Maxime Titkoff has got a mechanical failure, and it looks to be an oil leak, and Maxime Titkoff, and yep, you can see the smoke actually coming out the engine as Roke manages to get his way on the inside there. And Maxime Titkoff is going to be the first retirement from the Brazilian Grand Prix on lap 6, as he's going very slowly and now finally pulls off to the side of the circuit. But his race is done, and his season is of course over, and Titkoff is one of the drivers that unfortunately has not managed to get a seat for next season. So unlucky for Titkoff, not the ending that he would have liked it to be really, and so his race is over on lap 6. So he was of course in this battle to try and see if he could move up any further positions, and unfortunately that doesn't happen now, as he's just coming past the pits. Of course, typically just comes past the pits and didn't have time to go to the left, because the problem of course was terminal. And so Titkoff, as we see Roke, he wasn't letting Roke go past him very easily there, but nonetheless Titkoff is out and Roke did make it through me. Well, this is Tomaselli, who's on the back of the Red Bull here of Miguel Gau. He's going to try and make a move for 5th place coming into the first corner. He's on the inside. Is Tomaselli going to go for it? And is he through? And the answer is, I believe he is, because he'll get a better run around the corner. And yes, Tomaselli is up into 5th place, although he does have light fuel, so it probably explains why he's so fast. But nonetheless, he's having a good race so far, is Tomaselli. And so here's the replay of the move, of course, once again. And goes around the outside there and completes the move. Now, meanwhile, this is the Toro Rosso of, I believe this is, I think, Matteo Catalan, who's trying to make a move on the inside of the Renault here of Jay McKenzie. And no, sorry, it's Kupok actually on the inside. Kupok going to make the move on McKenzie. This is for the final point. This is for 10th. And Kupok through, and yes, he is. So he'll get the run around the corner, and he's through up into 10th, and McKenzie down to 11th. McKenzie does have a fair amount of fuel in his cars, so it's probably why he's not doing as well. Meanwhile, Evan Byrne is struggling at this moment in time. He's down to 16th, being overtaken by Lean Campana for 16th place there. So meanwhile, we're looking at Franco Gamba, who at the moment is comfortably leading this race. He's got Franco Lopez behind him in second, but he's quite a few seconds off. Gap over 7 seconds, 7.5 to be exact, or 7.6 if you want to be really specific. Verderi has also got past, actually, McKenzie, I just saw there, on the graphic as well, so McKenzie's dropped down another position. As we look at Franco Gamba coming in towards the first corner here, and so he's at the moment in a very comfortable lead. Franco Lopez is not really challenging him, doesn't look to be challenging him, of course. Still got plenty of the race to go. Meanwhile, this is De Rossa, the other McLaren. Both McLarens making a lot of progress. And De Rossa is now going past Laura Chung. This is for 7th position. On the inside is De Rossa, and Chung goes very wide there, so De Rossa will get the run through and will complete the move just like that. Done, that's it, and he is through. But now Chung might be under pressure from Gabriel Gomez behind if he's not careful. But Tomaselli now comes into the pits for his first stop of the race. So he is in, and we will see how quick this stop will be for the McLaren crew, and also what tyres they put on. Of course, everyone started on the extreme wet tyres, so we'll see if there's any change to that at all. So Tomaselli is through, and so he's on the extreme wets. What has he gone to? He goes on to the normal wet tyres now, so change of tyres, and I imagine that's what everyone else will start doing as the race goes on, or in the next few laps when drivers start to pit, and maybe they'll try and hold out for interconditions, but we don't know exactly when the track will start to dry. But it's still very wet at the moment. Lopez is actually going very long on this stint, actually, so he's, I think, going to, he's going almost 30 laps, so he's, I think, maybe trying to wait until it starts to dry up, maybe. That could be the only reason why he's got so much fuel anyway, but I think he's going to try and really hold out, because of course, particularly in wet conditions, we can see a lot of changes of tyres, of course, I say tyres of strategies, I should say, because they can easily come in early, even if they're not scheduled to, and that's why it's called an unscheduled stop. Meanwhile, Armor Car is in. Yep, there's a lot of cars coming in as well, so he's not going to be the only one. So we're going to see a bunch of cars come into the pits very soon. So Car onto the normal wets, and I imagine everyone else that's going to be coming in this lap and the next lap are going to be doing the same. And so Car now comes out of the pits, and he's having to wait for cars to come in. Q-Pock has come in, several cars, so Mackenzie's in, Roke is in, Campana's in, De Rossa, Q-Pock, all these drivers are coming in for the normal wet tyres. Renamoich, I think, is going to be pitting next lap. So a number of drivers all pitting, and wow, look at how long Q-Pock is going on that stint. So he's going to be waiting until it dries up. Armor Car at the moment going to come out outside of the points, Felix Santos temporarily up into the points. Q-Pock having to wait for the Williams to go in, and having to wait for more cars to go by. So Q-Pock's been severely held up here, so that's not going to help his race at all. Definitely the big loser in that one, as the rest of the cars now finally come out of the pits. And I wonder if we'll still see Lopez and co. maybe still coming, because everyone else is coming in. Chatfield's in, all the bottom half of the field has come in, or is coming in. Not everyone is though, but we'll see who else decides to come in this lap. Anyone at the front? I think I think Willers is coming in this lap actually. Yeah, he's coming in, although this was a scheduled stop for him anyway. So Willers does decide to come in for the normal wets. And we are Renamoichin still struggling around on the circuit, and we'll see, of course, the change in lap times. We should see the fastest lap, of course, tumbling down. Meanwhile, Jared Fosbury all over the back of Evan Byrne, who at the moment is really struggling this race. He's been stuck at the back of this whole race, and it's not really getting much better for him. So Willows is now in for the normal wets, and Matteo Catalan will be pitting next lap. Federi is in this lap as well. So Federi, let's see how quick his stop will be, and of course he'll be going out of the normal wets, and still not everyone is going on to the normal wets at this moment in time. But as we're looking on board with Tomaselli, who is heading up towards the first corner, right behind, who is he behind at the moment? He is behind, I think, he's behind the Haas of Jared Fosbury, and he's going to make a move coming on through the CNRS is coming through turns 1, 2, 3, now heading towards turn 4. Fosbury himself behind Byrne, and actually Byrne himself is pitting this lap. Tomaselli in the slipstream of the Haas, and he's going to make a move on the inside, and no, he's not able to make the move stick. So as we look at Mackenzie, who's trying to make his way through the pack as well, and there's, I think, Federi that's just come out of the pits there in 17th. Rosetta Martinez right behind De Rossa, who I think maybe has just got past him. Q-Pock there trying to make up lost time, of course, from when he got held up severely in the pits. Vidic Sontok has just come out of the pits. Franco Gamba still going on at the moment. Miguel Scal now coming in, and this is definitely obviously an unscheduled stop, but he's coming in for those new wet tyres, because of course clearly the current tyres are not useful anymore. So Gal comes in, and we'll see, of course, how quick his stop will be, and of course the tyres will go, which, well, you would think would be the wet tyres. And he comes in, and yep, changes on to the wet tyres. So there we go. As we expected, Laura Chung is also in. I mean, she's had a pretty torrid race ever since she got kind of bumped by a teammate, Willows, and having lost the lead at the start, it's not gone her way really. A few other cars coming in. Of course, Matteo Catalan's coming in. Gal's just going out at the moment. Gomez running high up in the field at the moment in time, as we're looking at Carr, who's right behind the Racing Point in Moichin, and there I think is the, of course, car coming out of the pits there. So I think Carr will want to beat that, as Moichin is trying to hold up Carr quite badly, but crucially Carr is ahead of the Red Bull there of Gal, so that's important for him. And crucially Carr now gets past Moichin up into P5, so Gal will have to get past Moichin as well. Tomaselli still right behind, I think that is Jared Fosbury in front of him. So as you look through the rest of the order, there's Martinez, who attempted to get past Roke there but failed. Byrne has just come out of the pits. Franco Gamba now dealing with traffic. He's actually one of the drivers who's still yet to go on to the normal wet tyres, but we'll see if that changes very soon. But he's trying to hold it out for as long as he can. Lopez obviously still hasn't pitted either. So both these guys are obviously trying to hold out until they get to into conditions, until it gets less damp. Meanwhile, Gabriel Gomez, who was running in third, now does come in for the normal wets. So we're looking at car who move up another position, move up into P4. But Joseph Willis actually sets the fastest lap on the normal wet tyres, a 1:20.95. So clearly, those are the tyres that are now working. So we'll see if Gamba and Lopez out front decide to react or not. Chatfield, who's just been lapped actually by Gamba, but he is on the normal wets. So we'll see if he is able to make any more. See if he'll get past. Actually, Gamba is coming in this lap, so Gamba does come in. Lopez still is not going to come in. He's going to... No, I lie, he is. He is going to come in, so both Gamba and Lopez are reacting to that fastest lap by Willows. So that now it is the time to pit for the wets. I mean, I think it's still too wet for Inters. But as Martinez is also in too. But I imagine both these guys are going to come in the pits. And Renamogen also... all these three, some of the last guys that are currently still on the extreme wet tyres, and will now go on to the normal wet tyres. So Gamba now in, we'll change and we'll go on to the normal wets, and so we'll see Lopez coming in. He'll go on to the normal wets as well, and so they'll still be comfortably actually ahead of Willows, Will, Gamba and Lopez, I believe. So I'll be interested to see where Willows is at the moment, if he's coming around the final corner. And I imagine he's probably just about coming around it now, but I don't think he's going to still be ahead of Gamba, and Gamba's already at the pits. So where is Willows? He's actually only just coming up to the start line now, so Lopez will still get out ahead of Joseph Willows as he sets another fastest lap of 1:20.6. So the normal wet's the tyre to be on now, and you can just see Lopez just ahead coming out of the pits. So unfortunately Willows didn't quite work out. If they went probably a lap longer, then Willows may have jumped, or he probably would have jumped Lopez, and maybe at 2 laps he might have jumped Gamba as well. As meanwhile Matteo Catalan trying to make an overtake, and meanwhile Laura Chung is also overtaking Jared Fosbury, who is one of the last drivers still on the extreme wet tyres. And Laura Chung was the one who made the move through. Matteo Catalan passed the Alfa Romeo there. I think that was of Gabriel Gomez, and it was. And so Matteo Catalan trying to make a look on De Rosso, who's trying himself to look at Fosbury in front of him, and unable to make the move. And Fosbury is going to be almost like a snail really at this point, going at a snail's pace. One of the only drivers still on the extreme wet tyres. Moitin has just come in. Pretty sure, didn't he pit a few laps before? I thought maybe, I don't know. But anyway, as you can see the Gamba, and we can see Lopez in the distance. Gamba's way out ahead actually. So yeah, he would have definitely come out ahead of Lopez had it gone probably a lap extra. So it's unlucky for Willis. It almost worked out for him. There's a big train of cars behind Jared Fosbury, who goes very wide. And De Rosso going to try and make a move around the outside here as Willis. It's another fastest lap of 1:20.4. De Rosso around the outside, and does finally make the move past Jared Fosbury for 8th position. Fosbury really struggling and needs to pit soon if he wants to have any chance of points. He's really, really struggling, and the team really need to pit him if they want to save him from this kind of, at the moment, I suppose, humiliation you could say it is. Look at all these cars, one by one behind the other as, whoa! Gomez was making a move, and the Renault behind him, McKenzie, wanted to make a move on him as well. But Gomez now on the inside of the Toro Rosso of Catalan. He makes it through, and Kupok does a very late move and passes McKenzie behind him. So a couple of good overtakes there. And Jared Foster at the moment just a sitting duck, as Gomez is right behind him, going to look to make a move down the inside, heading in towards turn 4. Gomez, surely this should be a very easy move for him. And the answer is he doesn't make a stick. Meanwhile, Kupok attempted to go past his teammate Catalan, and I think he's actually done it, I believe, although Catalan's going to hold it around the outside, maybe. Still side by side between the two Toro Rossos. Of course, this will be the last race under the Toro Rosso name before they become AlphaTauri for next season, or AlphaTauri, however you want to say it. And they hold position. Catalan keeps the position from his teammate Kupok, as Gomez going to attempt to go around the outside of Fosbury. There, you don't see many moves around the outside there, and that's going to allow the two drivers behind, the two Toro Rossos behind to close up, as Franco Lopez absolutely decimates the fastest lap there, 1:19.4. And I wonder maybe if Fosbury, I mean, this might be a wild guess, but he might be trying to hold out maybe for the intermediate tyres. I don't know if it's quite enough for the Inters, but maybe that's what he's trying, in the hope that he might be a genius 10,000 IQ strategy play, but he's going to have to bite the bullet and try and see if he try and keep on the track as the two Toro Rossos once again battle for 11th position. Kupok on the inside of Matteo Catalan into the CNRSs, and he's through is David Kupok past Matteo Catalan, so good move there by him. But Federi is also going to get past Catalan as well, goes around the outside and makes the move stick, so good job there. As we're looking at Kupok now on the inside of Jared Fosbury, or I thought he was, but he backs off and waits another corner. But again, there must be just waiting Fosbury on it to maybe get a little bit drier to try and go on the intermediate tyres, although I wouldn't say they're probably that far off, but I suppose that, well, I mean, the lap time wise they're about, what, 10 seconds off? Well, actually probably about 12 seconds off what they say in qualifying in the dry, so maybe they need to wait for it to be a couple seconds quicker. Hedgie Lopez, it's another 119.3, so maybe 2 or 3 more laps maybe, and you could have a dig at it as Kupok makes it through. And Fosbury down behind Federi as well, going to lose position to the Renault, so I mean they might as well just pit Fosbury now and save him this misery that he's currently enduring. Down to 13th, and he's going to be pitting. He's not that far off actually, fuel-wise pitting anyway, so maybe they are going to hold him until the pit stop and then put him on the inters. It's a bit of maybe a far-fetched suggestion, but it's the only thing that can, I suppose, save him really, and maybe give him a vague shot of some points, of course, with Fosbury, who doesn't have a seat for next season. As meanwhile for Federi, trying on the inside of Kupok. This is for 10th, and he makes it through, and Fosbury defending very hard from Matteo Catalan behind, and so as they come on to the back straight after the CNRSs, and Catalan didn't get a good run, although he's still in the slipstream though. Meanwhile the Renault going past the Toro Rosso there, yep, and that was Piquetti on the inside, and meanwhile behind Fosbury still holding up Catalan and Roque, and now the two Williams are also getting involved in this battle as well. So this is great entertainment near the back of the field. There's not really much happening up front, so Fosbury is in his last race, of course, the Fosbury era, providing all the entertainment, trying to put on a show in his last race before, of course, we'll see wherever he goes after it, but of course he won't be staying in the top tier, as Catalan makes a little mistake there as he's trying to almost stay behind Fosbury, trying to keep in the range of him. As Fosbury goes again very deep into there, and this might be a chance for Catalan to go around the outside here, and yep, he's already through, and Fosbury has passed him there, and now he's going to hold up Roque and the two Williams behind, so Fosbury, they're really holding him until his stop here. Absolute torture it is for him at this moment in time. Still plenty of spray, but again, it doesn't look like there's any rain, but it just still doesn't look like it's quite dry enough for the intermediate tyres yet, as Campana trying to make a move on Roque on the inside here. And Roque, I think, is just about the slipstream of Fosbury, so I think that's what's keeping him ahead. And he is, so will Roque try and make a move on the inside into the CNRSs? And the answer is no, he doesn't. So Franco Gam at the moment is still comfortably in the lead, although Lopez is gaining on him. It's down to about 5.4 seconds. It was about, actually, it was about 9 seconds, I think it was, before the stop, I think. So he's actually gained quite significantly, if that's the case. Roque on the inside of Fosbury, and he's now through up into 14th position, so Fosbury now down to 15th, and he might even be overtaken by both Williams in a minute. But Lopez has definitely gained a few seconds actually on Gamba since the stop, so Lopez is, well, as we saw from the fastest laps, he's definitely the quickest guy on the track at this moment in time. So I wonder if they'll try and do the undercut Mercedes if he gets right up to Gamba and can't overtake him, but you would imagine they could, because this is Brazil, one of the best tracks to overtake on. Meanwhile, Felix Sontag actually overtook his teammate Campana there, and now Sontag is going to try and make the move on Fosbury, who again gets very deep, and Sontag makes it through very easily there. And so now Campana actually goes around the outside Campana, so Fosbury's just got absolutely no speed and no grip. I would say no pace, but he's going to have no pace from having no grip. And so now he's being overtaken by Evan Byrne, who I have to say is having a pretty terrible race really at this moment in time, as now Fosbury is overtaken by Byrne into the CNRSs, and he's on the inside Byrne, and he's through. And finally Jared Fosbury's fitting, and now he gets overtaken by his teammate Chris Chatfield. So Fosbury now finally pits And will it be the inters, or will it all be for the normal wets? If it is for the normal wets, it would be funny, because it would just be it would mean the stint he's just been on would have been a complete waste of time. Lopez, again, the gap down to just over 4 seconds. So Lopez is definitely gaining on Gamba. You could see him in the distance, as there is Franco Gamba. These two a fair bit clear of the rest of the field at this moment in time. But again, the track's still pretty wet, so I still don't know if inters will be the right choice to make. As meanwhile, David Kupok is behind Mackenzie here. This is the battle for 11th place, coming through the final corner, and Kupok, I think, might just about be in the slipstream of the cars. Meanwhile, Matteo Catalan actually is in the slipstream of him, Kupok, and Catalan is going to make a move on the inside of Kupok, coming down the front straight, and Catalan is way alongside. He's already passed Kupok as they head towards the center S's, and Catalan on the inside. This should be an easy move for him, and yep, he's through, and so he's now back up into 12th place. So now Catalan will have to close back up, although he makes a little mistake there coming off the corner. That might give Kupok behind the opportunity to get right back at him as well now. And so as we look, well, with Catalan now, he'll go after Mackenzie in front, and so let's come through, looking through the rest of the order, and so there's finally Jared Fosbury coming in to the pits, and will it be for the inters or for the wets? And it is for the wet tyres. So that stint that he just had there, Fosbury, was a total and utter waste of time. Good job there, Haas. And for Fosbury in his final race, it's it's not currently being a very good one at this moment in time. It's not going his way, and of course Fosbury now he's got absolutely no chance of points now. Fosbury needs an absolute miracle if he wants to stand even any chance of getting any points out of this race, but it's just not going to happen. And so looking through the rest of the order, so that was Rena Moich actually was just about to be lapped, of course, by Gao. Chung is in for another set of wets, and she's way down the order now. She's getting fallen down ever since had that collision with Willers. It's not got much better for her, and so she'll be 14th place out of the pits behind George Roque in 13th, and she'll come out just ahead of Felix Sontag in the Williams. And yep, there we go, as Sontag might try and make a move into the corner there on Chung, and we just come out of the pits, but no. Paolino Tomaselli now comes into the pits, and we'll see if he stays on the wet tyres, or maybe he might switch to the inters, who knows. Tomaselli comes in, and let's see what he decides to do, or what the team decides to do. And will he stay on the normal wets? And the answer is yes, so they stay on the normal wets. So I imagine probably after this stop, because it's not raining, and in the second half of the race, of course, the track will get dry, so I imagine they're probably all going to try and stay on it until a dry line starts to appear. But Tomaselli himself comes out down in 14th place. Sontag in 15th, and now of course Gamma's just coming to lap them. So Chung now trying to go past the racing point of George Roque, and she's on the inside. She gets to the point and passes Roque. Now Sontag just has Tomaselli, who's just come out of the pits in front. Meanwhile, Frank Gamba is now just coming up to lap Sontag there, and Tomaselli will hope to get away so he doesn't have to get lapped, because he's just come out of the pits on fresh tyres, so we'll want to get clear. And meanwhile, Franco Lopez, who's definitely gaining quite a bit, actually, he's gained a lot now, and I think it also helps the fact that they've come into a lot of traffic. And meanwhile, Armar Carr is into the pits. Byrne has just come out of the pits as well, and oh, here we go. So now Armar Carr has gone onto the intermediate tyres. Now this is very interesting. Now, of course, Carr will be the one who will try and stay on these until I guess when it starts to get dry, because of course we're not going to have any rain. We're about halfway through this race, and I think it was about 60 minutes that there wouldn't be any rain. So I think that could be a good strategy call there from Mercedes. So and if it doesn't quite dry up as much as everyone hopes for at the second half of the race, then they'll just all go onto the intermediate tyres anyway. So as you look at Gamba, who comes across the line, the gap to Lopez is now just over 3 seconds. It's been coming down ever since the stop. Lopez has been very quick. Meanwhile, Federi being overtaken here by David Kupok, who is on the inside and moves up to 9th position. So he's through up another position. So Q-Block having a good race at this moment in time. Gamba said coming up to Tomaselli, although Tomaselli's staying ahead. Because obviously he's just come out of the pits, Tomaselli, on fresher tyres, so he won't want to be lapped. And so he'll be coming up to close up behind Roke if he can do so. Meanwhile, Joseph Willows is pitting this lap as well, so I wonder if he'll try and go onto the intermediate tyres, and the answer is no, he doesn't. So, and neither has Chatfield. So Carl's the only one who's actually tried to gamble here, and I suppose why not? He's got nothing really to play for in the championship, so we'll see what Carl's pace is like as the Alfa Romeo in front of him is just coming into the pits. I think that was Federi. I believe. No, actually it was Gomez, sorry, I should say. It was, yeah, of course, because he was behind there. So meanwhile, Lopez going past the Williams there. So Gomez is coming in. We'll see if he stays on the wets or goes on the inters. Tomaselli behind George Roke, actually, and he's got not a great exit off the corner, so he might get lapped by Franco Gamba here if he's not careful. And actually, I think Roke is heading to the pits, so never mind about that. So Tomaselli now coming over the line, and I think he set a better lap, and yeah, he sets his personal best lap there, so he's finally getting the tyres at the temperature, but he's got Franco Gamba for company behind him. Q-Pock is in, and of course so is Gabriel Gomez, so what tyres does David Q-Pock go on to is the big question. And does he go on to the inters or stay on the wets? And yeah, he stays on the wets, so it looks like so far the only driver to gamble on the inters has been Armar Carr. So George Roke comes in. Will he go on the inters? The answer is no. Felix Sontag is in. Will he go on the inters or stay on the wets? And so they change his tyres, and he stays on the wet tyres. So again, looks like our Carr was gambled. I mean, if it pays off for Carr, fair play really. But we'll see if he's able to gain any positions. Gal meanwhile has come in. So has Rodomoitian. And so Gal is in, and so we'll see what he decides to do as well. He's not really got any chance of getting a top 2, and has a vague chance of getting top 3, but we'll see what does Gal decide to do. Will he go onto the inters or on the wets? And he stays on the wets. So again, it really looks like only Carr has decided to gamble on the inters here. So as Gal comes out, as De Rosa is in, so is Martinez. Carr is going to take obviously P5 back once De Rosa goes in. And I don't really know what his pace is like really, Armar Carr compared to the rest. Of course, Tomaselli's just come out onto the normal wet tyres, and he's currently seeing another person, but he's actually getting away now from Franco Gamba in front of him. So now he's finally picking the pace up, 1:19.0, setting his personal best lap. As we look at Lopez, who's second, was about half a second off of Tomaselli. So that is the importance of having fresh rubber, particularly in wet conditions. It can really have an impact. De Rosa goes on the wets. So, and then of course there's another car coming in as well, of course. So De Rosa's the one that's just come out. And at the moment Tomaselli is sitting another personal best at this moment in time. Campana was the other one that's come into the pits as well. Federi is in too. So they're all coming in for their second stops. They're all obviously going to make one more, possibly maybe 2, but I think most of them it will be one more stop before the end. And so Campana's in. I'll be interested to see what tyres they've gone on. Willows comes across the line, and he sets the fastest lap of the race, a 1:19 dead actually, on the wet tyres there. So Willows showing his hand and showing the pace that the wet tyres still do have at this moment in time. It doesn't look like Carr's particularly quick, and actually he's being overtaken here by Miklos Gal. This is for P4. Gal on the inside of Carr, and so he's going to make a move on the inside, and he's through. So Carr obviously it's not necessarily worked on these tyres, but if he keeps up a decent pace, he could take those tyres all the way until it starts to drive. As Tomaselli now sets the fastest lap of 1:18.4, so he's gone 6/10 quicker than what Willows did. So Tomaselli very quick at this moment in time. I would have said probably they maybe pitted about now. This would be the time for inters, I would say, because the track is definitely again, it's still wet, but it's getting a little bit more dry. Not quite as much, I think, spray being thrown up. Catalan is in, so I wonder what tyres he decides to go on. So we're looking, of course, at the Williams here. We're on board Rocket Rexona. So Catalan, of course, is in. I want to see what tyres he does go on. De Rosa is quite quick at this moment in time. And Tomaselli actually closing up to the back of Chung in front, so we'll see if Tomaselli can make a move. And Gal now lapping the Racing Point of Moichin. At the moment he's running in 20th position, running way down the order. Doesn't look like he's even behind Jared Fosbury, as Willers sets another fastest lap. So I wonder if he could still maybe come into play. I don't think he could come into play for the win. Maybe second, as now I think that was the McLaren there of Tomaselli. Yeah, that was Tomaselli actually unlapping himself past Franco Lopez there. So showing the pace that, as you know, that wasn't Lopez. That was De Rossa. So De Rossa unlapping himself, and the other McLaren of Tomaselli now passing Laura Chung for 6th position. So the two McLarens seem to be very, very quick at this point in the race. They seem to be the quickest car on these tyres at this moment in time, although Willers did the faster that, but they're still being fairly quick nonetheless. Gamber at the moment still, he's extended his lead a little bit more now. It's actually nearly 4 seconds again. Roke meanwhile trying to pass his old teammate Jay McKenzie for 13th position. He's on the inside, and he's going to make the move into the first corner, and he's through up into 13th position. An unlucky number for many people. Willers at the moment in third, again showing his pace, but unfortunately it's kind of all for nothing really, because he's not really closing up to the back of, well, he might be closing the gap to Lopez and Gamma, but they're still well ahead as he sets another fastest lap. Willers a 1:18.1, and Moichin actually at the moment in time is actually on the intermediate tyres. So as Q-Pop making a little mistake there. So at the moment I think it's only Car Moichin on the inters, and I think it's really worked particularly for them. The two Alfa Romeos here look to be in a battle, and this is this is for 10th position. This is to get the last point on the board, and so we're looking at the two of them coming through the final couple of corners. About to take the final corner onto the front straight, and this is Federi trying to pass Gomez. Of course, both these drivers will be staying at Alfa for next season, and of course there was a big doubt as to whether they both would or either one of them would, because they've been going on throughout the season, as Federi is now on the inside of Gomez. A team battle here for honours, and Federi looks to have passed Gomez into turn 1. He already has his well ahead. Gomez actually, oh my word, and Gomez makes contact with the back of Federi there, and Gomez himself actually is on the intermediate tyres, so it looks like Gomez is another one on it. So, oh, and hello, Franco Lopez goes onto the dry tyres, as I don't know who quite set the fastest lap there, but Franco Lopez really trying a gamble here. It still looks to be extremely wet, but if they manage to pull this off, Mercedes, this would be quite an incredible strategy gamble. It looks, I mean, the dry line I think actually is starting to appear a little bit, so I think actually this could work, but maybe they could have left it for another lap or so. Willers actually sets another fastest lap, a 1:17.3. So he's probably going to maybe go for a few more laps, and then he'll go on to the dry tyres. But Lopez does come out ahead, but I wonder if Willers will just go back past, or go past him straight away. He's going to try, but Lopez defends. He was not going to let Willers go by, because that would give an advantage to Franco Gamber up front. But this is a big gamble by Mercedes. Franco Lopez, the first driver to go on the dry line. You can see actually the dry line is starting to appear, so I think, yeah, they've snatched at that opportunity. And I wonder if, as we look at a couple of drivers going in, Chung is in, and so is Tomaselli. So I think a number of these drivers, having seen Lopez go on to the dry tyres, are going to do the same. Maybe they might try and go for the inters, I don't know, but maybe try for the dries. Tomaselli is in. Does he go onto the dries? Yes. Chung is in. She goes onto the dries. Gamber is coming in, and I think he is going to be going onto the dries as well. Well, he's got to. He's got no other choice, really. Chung now comes out of the pits, although no, she gets held up actually as the Red Bull of Gamma now comes in, and so he will now go onto the dry tyres, and so Gamma changes from the wets to the dries. David Kupok is in as well, so a whole host of drivers coming in for their stop onto the dries. And so I wonder what the inter drivers think. They'll probably go quite long and then pit late on for the dries, and then they'll be the quickest ones towards the end. Roke is in, and Gamma's being held up here. He gets held up big time there by the Renault coming into the pits there. I believe that was of Mackenzie, and so that could be big for Franco Lopez actually. Where is Lopez? Where is he? And Lopez is already through. Lopez is already in the lead, and Franco Lopez has already gone past in the lead, and that has turned out to be a masterstroke for Mercedes. And I mean, yes, I mean, granted, Gamba did get held up by quite a few seconds in the stop, but I think it would have been very close either way. I'm actually not sure. I mean, Lopez may have just about pipped Gamba. That was going to be probably pretty close, but now Gamba getting held in the pits there, and what an impact that has had on the race. So Franco Lopez takes the lead. A genius, you could call it a genius strategy call from Mercedes, with also a bit of luck involved, really. But at the moment, Armour Car at the moment is still going around the Inters. I've been interested to see actually what the pace would be like for those guys on the Inters, Moitian and Carr. For example, Galizin obviously now on the dries, on the softs. Tomaselli, of course, out on the dry tyres as well. So De Rossi coming into pit for the dries. So now everyone is. So I wonder how long the Inter guys are going to go out for. They'll probably try and hang out for a few more laps and then go on to the dries, and then they'll be a lot quicker than pretty much everyone else at the end. But at the moment, Armour Car in third, but he'll be pitting soon for dry tyres. Matteo Catalan actually all over the back of Tomaselli at the moment in a battle there. De Rosa comes out of the pits. There's Campana coming in. Lopez at the moment leading. I don't know who's saying the fastest lap, and actually Lopez did just do a 1:17, I think. Or unless that was just the stop. No, I think he has. So, yeah, I think the dry tyres are definitely the way to go. As the Haas there, I think, of Jared Fosbury is going to come into the pits, and I would imagine, well, knowing how his race has gone, the team will probably put him on the Inters. Whoa, as he slows down right in front of Stontag there. Fortunately, there was no collision there, so they got away with one. But knowing Haas, they'd probably put Fosbury on the Inters, judging by how this race has gone. But as Roke now goes past some lap traffic, everyone now set to go on the Inters. Carr now does come in, and he'll go onto the dry tyres. And so there we go, changes onto the dries. Into the pits is Sontag as well. Kamana's already at the pit exit, so a lot of them already going onto the dries here. And yep, Carr comes out. Willows is the one who's in actually. So Joseph Willows has come in, so actually that's worked out pretty well for Carr actually. You could say. Moitian comes out. Gomez, who's in the points, is set to come in for the dries. At the moment, Catalan is still going out on the Inters at this moment in time, but it's still fairly wet out there. And you can still see there's still spray about. I mean, you can see the dry line, but again, there's still spray about on the circuit. There's Roke there going onto the wet stuff, trying to, I think, lap the Manor there. He's going to go around the outside as Lopez actually sets the fastest lap now on the dry tyres of 1:16.6. So that proves to you that the dry tyres are now officially the way to go. And so those guys in the Inters will probably have to pit in the next lap or so if they want to try and keep up with the rest of the pack, although they'll be quick because by the time they pit in, the dry line will be bigger, as now the Manor tries to pass Mackenzie into the first corner, and oh, there's almost contact between the two there as he tries to unlap himself, and he's going to try and go around the outside. That will be good news for Roke, who will stay ahead and build a bigger gap. Gomez does come out in 11th place, and there's Gamma, who's just ahead of David Kupok there. He's just lapped him, I guess. So I don't know the drivers. So the moment Catalan, I think, is one of the few drivers still on Inters, and actually he's pitting this lap, so now is the time that he's going to go onto the dry tyres. It's still, again, pretty wet out there, but Catalan does still seem fast as he now jolts to the left and goes into the pits, as the McLaren just about goes past him there. That was pretty sketchy at best, but fortunately no damage done. And so we're looking at the moment at Franco Lopez, who is leading this race and will set to crown his title-winning season off with a win, it looks like, if everything goes his way. And so Catalan, as I said, is one of the last drivers to come in. And now look at that, 1:16.0. So the dry tyres are certainly the way to go. As Franco Gam actually does a 1:15 now, 1:15.6. So yep, if I haven't already said it about 5 times, the dry tyres are the tyre to be on now. So yeah, as we see Gamma, so maybe Gamma's going to try and etch back onto Lopez now. Now he's maybe got the tyres up to temperature. But of course, I'm interested to see actually what the pace of Matteo Catalan will be, as he'll be the driver on the freshest dries. So looking through the second half of the race. Meanwhile, this is George Roke, who's trying to go past the Rennie. You can clearly see the dry line now as Roke's going to overtake Mackenzie on the wet part of the circuit. He's on the inside, and Mackenzie goes a bit wide, and Roke is now through. Past him there for 13th. Those two have been in battle all race. Meanwhile, Joseph Willard's set to come on lap these two as well. So now we're looking at Tomaselli, who's coming in. I think he's going to be doing one more stop, and he'll be. And I think there's a few drivers that will probably, I think, have not had enough fuel to go to the end, and yet there's a couple of others that are going to be coming in soon as well. So, yeah, I mean, you could say I think Tomaselli is still going to get a good result out of this race, and he'll be very quick at the end compared to the ones who will go to the end. So Tomaselli is in. We'll change on to another set of the softs, and of course we'll go in. So we'll go in what was, I think, about 5th or 6th place, and he'll come out in now actually Catalan. Oh, Catalan does come in again. So for some reason they didn't actually fuel Catalan until the end. So again, I think that's a big mistake that Toro Rosso have made there. But hey ho, as Verderi also comes in for his last stop of the race. I mean, these guys will be very quick at the end. So I wonder if we might see an unusual driver. And oh my word, Willows makes contact with the back of the racy point there of George Roke, and somehow neither of the two got damaged, as Roke now finally lets Willows go through. And now Mackenzie's got a great run off the corner there because of that whole debacle, but Roke manages to hold off Mackenzie. That is now for 11th place with a number of drivers coming in. Verderi comes out in 16th place as Gal now trying to squeeze his way past the traffic, and of course in the battle for second in the championship, of course, Willows, even if he does finish behind Miguel Gal, will be taking the runner-up spot, because Gal would need Willows to retire, essentially, to not get anything out of the race. As meanwhile, Verderi now passing the Williams there of Sontag. That is for P15. Willows now comes out of the pits, and it is actually going to be actually down to 4th position now, so behind Gal. So I wonder if we'll see an overtake on track. Meanwhile, Armar Carr now coming in for his final stop of the race. Several drivers who have not been fueled until the end, and you probably think to yourself why that's having an. Oh, actually no, Carr's changing his wing, so Armar Carr must have had a collision with somebody on the track. So hopefully we might see a replay of this, because yeah, Carr has had to change his front wing, and this is why, I guess. And so this was coming towards the pit entry, and I guess there's Carr coming in, and unexpectedly, and oh, just absolutely cannoned into the car there. I think it was the Haas there that was just coming into the pits, and somehow the Haas, made of titanium there, doesn't get any damage from that. That was Chris Chatfield, who was just coming into the pits, and again, I don't know how Chatfield didn't get any damage from that. That is quite incredible, really, that has managed to happen, and Chatfield didn't get any damage. So yeah, Chung now up another position. Chatfield, of course, will not be getting anything from this race. So if you look at Miguel Gal at the moment running in P3, and he's got Willows behind in P4. I wonder if Willows will be able to close up to Gal towards the end of the race or not. We shall see. But we've still got 10 laps to go in this race, so yeah, Willows could easily still maybe close up on Gal. Meanwhile, Matteo Catalan trying to go past Lee Campana in the Williams. This is the battle for P13, and he's on the inside. Is Campana going to make the move on the inside? Not quite. Didn't quite have enough of the speed. As Andrea Verderi actually now sets the fastest lap of the race, a 1:12.0. So there we go. I told you we might see someone unusual setting the fastest lap, but of course if Verderi does set it, that will mean, of course, that nobody will get the point, because Verderi is outside of the points. So he's right behind Sontag. Actually, now the Toro Rosso there, Catalan, does pick it through. So I wonder if Lopez will have anything to say about that. Although I don't think he quite has necessarily the pace, because he's been on those tyres for quite a while. Gamba only 3 seconds behind. Meanwhile, this is I think this is Armar Carr, yeah, trying to go past the Toro Rosso here of David Kupak. His Armar Carr is on the inside just about, as Laura Chung is in for another stop. So somehow Chung still, the team didn't fuel her to the end, so it's been a nightmare race for Laura Chung, you have to say, as Armar Carr is all over the back of David Kupak. This is for 7th place, and coming on to the back straight here, and Carr's going to try and make a move on the inside. He's not quite there, not quite got the speed, so he's got to back off, wait until the next corner. Meanwhile, Tomaselli is trying to get past the Alfa Romeo here of Gabriel Gomez in front of his home crowd, of course, and he's unable to make it stick there. Willows is only about 3.7 seconds behind, so he still could be on Willows if he can close up for 3rd position. ahead of Miguel Gal, but at the moment Gal holds it. Let's see what the gap is over the line. The gap is now about that, and I think Willows has just set the fast lap, and actually here is Willows now onto the back of Miguel Gal. This is for third position, and Willows to take third, and which will be second, of course, in the championship, and which will confirm it. So Willows now on the inside. Has he made it stick? I'm not sure. Gal's gone very deep, so Willows is surely through, and yet Willows now up into third position. So there we go. That is that battle done and dusted. Although Gal actually has got a good run, he's still on the slipstream, so he could try and make a move back on the inside. Is he going to do it? Gal tries, but fails there to make a move on the inside of Willows. So that's a good attempt, though. As now we look at Franco Gamba, who at the moment is running in second position. He'll be frustrated of the way that he's lost this race, it looks like, to Franco Lopez, who is in front, although he is gaining on him, so we could still see maybe a battle towards the end. But if Gamba can't do it, it will be purely down to the fact that he was held up in that pit stop. Meanwhile, Carr all over the back of David Kupok. Now going to try and make another move for 6th place. Kupok is not letting it happen at all. And so Carr's going to have to wait once again to make the move. And Willows, you can see, look at the gap he's already got to Gal in second. So Willows is insanely quick. So as we're coming through the final corner now, Gamba now trying to lap the man around the outside here. And Mackenzie has been overtaken by Catalan now. I think Mackenzie may have made a mistake. And he was actually being lapped by the Ferrari there. And Mackenzie went way too deep. And I think he just about went on the grass there. And Catalan took advantage and took the position there off him. And so we're looking now at Franco Gamba, who at the moment is in second. It doesn't look like. And oh, Catalan goes wide. Catalan himself makes a mistake. So he was being lapped by the Ferrari again once again. And went a bit too wide there. Tried to keep it around the outside of the Ferrari, which is just a stupid decision to make. Making a mistake, but I think he managed to hold the position. But anyway, we are now on to the final lap of the Brazilian Grand Prix, and of course the final lap of the season, of course. And Franco Lopez is set to take victory here, and he's took it under Franco Gamba's nose. I mean, had Gamba not been held up in the stop, maybe would have come out ahead of stayed ahead of Lopez. And yeah, I think if he had, then Gamba definitely would have won this race for sure. But of course, being held up in that stop and Lopez's good pace was enough to get him ahead, and he is going to win the final race of the season. It has been a totally and utterly dominant performance, as Willows actually sets the fastest laps that he'll be taking at this moment, the fastest lap point. But Franco Lopez, to go back on to what I was saying, has been totally and utterly dominant this season. There's been no one that's even come close. His form has been unbelievable, and despite the 3 retirements in a row, there was no one else that looked like that was going to win the title other than him, as Franco Lopez wins the Brazilian Grand Prix, the final race of the season. And Franco Gamba comes across the line in second, and of course Mercedes are the Constructors' Champions. So it is Mercedes that rule the world in Formula 1, and Kirosa Badarossi will take 5th place. He'll be very happy with that as he comes across the line, and Kupok will hold off Carr for P6, so great result there for David Kupok. Carr will be disappointed with that. Gomez in 8th position, set to come across the line just ahead of Paulino Tomaselli, although this could be a close run to the line as Gomez comes across the line, but in front of his own crowd. Gomez will take 8th, so the Brazilian fans will be very happy with that. Meanwhile, George Roque is under pressure from the Ferrari there, about to be lapped. There's a big gaggle of cars behind him as they head towards the line. But Roque will take the final point spot of the season. And oh, David Kupok is off, and David Kupok is out at the first corner there. And so he's been hit from behind by somebody. I thought it may have been Carl, but looking from onboard, Byrne looks to have been him. Oh, and yep, it was Byrne that went into the manor and then went into the damage went into Carl. But yeah, there we go. As we're looking at the rest of the field come across the line, and oh, there's even more damage as there's as you just saw there. That was another Alder Alphas. Willows comes across the line actually P3, and he will take second in the championship, so he is officially the runner-up. And of course for him, this is his last race with Ferrari before he moves to McLaren for the next season. So there we go, the final race of the season is over, and we'll take a look at the full race results. So Franco Lopez winning ahead of his fellow Franco Gamba in second, Joseph Willis third, and Miguel Gal fourth, the last car on the lead lap, with De Rosa, Kupok, Carr, Gomez, Tomaselli and Roque completing the rest of the points, with Laura Chung finishing outside in 11th. What a disappointing race it was for her in 11th place. Willows gets the fastest lap point with a 110.8, 110.1 I should say. Matteo Catalan, Andrea Federi, Mackenzie Campana and Sontag all 1 lap down, with the rest of the field as follows: Chatfield, Byrne, Crosby, Moitian 2 laps down, and Rosetta Martinez 3 laps down, with Maxi tick off the only retirement of this race actually, with retiring with that oil leak on lap 6. So the final Drivers' Championship, of course, Franco Lopez winning ahead of Joseph Willis, who finished 12 points ahead of Nicholas Gao in 2nd, Laura Chung in 4th, Amakar just missing out by 11 points in 5th, Frankie Gamb in 6th, Thomas Eddy 7th, De Rossi moving up actually to 8th on the last race ahead of Catalan and Byrne, who complete the rest of the top 10, Federi 11th, and looking through now the rest of the order, Gabriel Gomez in 12th, George at 13th, Norwich in 14th, Chatfield 15th, David Cupot moving ahead of Mackenzie and Fosbury in the 16th, with Felix Santo being in 19th, Maxine Tikoff 20th, Nika Parnat 21st, and Rosetta Martinez, the driver who finished last in the driver's standings. So now we'll take a look at the constructor standings, of course, which was won by Mercedes, and it wasn't easy. It went all the way down to the last race, of course, but they win ahead of Ferrari in 2nd, Red Bull in 3rd, McLaren in 4th, and Alfa Romeo take 5th, of course. Toro Rosso move ahead of Renault and Racing Point to snatch 6th off of them. Look how close that was. With Haas in 9th, Williams 10th, and Mana in 11th. And of course, Franco Lopez was given Driver of the Day. No surprises there, really. Although you could have given it to Rossa, but still, Franco Lopez, title winner and winning the race.
Just going to interrupt for a moment because we have some breaking news to share with you. For those who are unaware, throughout the last few days it was suspected that some people were entering as multiple drivers in the series, which is not allowed, of course. Some people confess, with one of them being Lorenzo Tomaselli, who admitted that Paolino Tomaselli was a fake driver, which means as a result Paolino will not be racing in the top class next season thanks to this admission. He will be replaced at Renault by 2016 Formula E champion Jake Galloway, who moves up from GP2 after finishing 4th in this year's championship. That's all we have. Now back over to George to conclude the 2019 season.
And so there we go. 2019 is over. And it's just unbelievable it's really gone so far. Or so fast, I should say. But a few thank yous as well. A big thank you to Yuri for hosting another great season, Joe for the highlights videos and for hosting the season, Flo for hosting GP2, for hosting DTM and GP2, all the commentators, particularly to Rob, who's been going through a hard time. Thank you for everyone who's made this OC season fantastic as it is. I've been George, the OC commentator, and we will see you for the 2020, the final season before the fantasy era. See you then.
You've got the love I need to see me through. You got
and Franco Lopez is your 2019 GP4 OC champion. It never looked like it was going to anyone else.